could talk about, you mentioned, and the Course mentions, the real world, or the forgiven world, or we were talking yesterday about sight. You know, it talks a lot about sight. And so, you know, I had a couple experiences where, you know, I saw very, very clearly, truth very, very clearly, but it wasn't, it had nothing to do with my eyes, you know. It had to do with a kind of a, more of a recognition than an actual seeing, but I suppose, but even the seeing can be, definitely have a component to it, you know, that even the physical eyes, you know, can have a component of light or different things, you know. So I was wondering if you could, like, if there's a way to actually just define what the real world is, when you talk about the happy dream or the real world or real vision. So I was wondering if you could get a little specific about that.
Yeah, the real world, there's actually one part in the Course where Jesus rattles off a sentence where he puts them all these metaphors into one sentence, but the real world, the happy dream, salvation, the borderland, true perception, you know, these are all synonyms for the real world. And it's simply the old world that had been perceived before, perceived without any judgment. So it's kind of like, you know, Phil's been using the overhead projector for the songs. And when you first turn on an overhead projector, it just takes this brilliant light there, the base there, that gray base, and then it projects it up through the lens, and it comes out on the screen. So when you first turn it on, it's just light, just pure light. Then when you put the shadows, when you put the overlays on, you can put as many as you want, then what's on the screen, images start to appear. Concrete, specific images, not abstract light. It starts to, you could put a lot of overlays on. You could do that, describe that as like this, the way the world was built. The world is learned, and it's all these shadows. It's like taking all these hundreds of overlays on an overhead projector. Okay, what do we got? Here's time and space. Let's say we put a grid on it, and then suddenly you've got a location of time and space. Then you start to put other things on it, coordinates and so on and so forth. Then you draw a little figure in there and another figure. Then you start to genitalia, okay, some hair, this. We've got male, female, you see, here we go. Now, let's put some children in, little smaller figures, you know, it's a white light. It's just pure white light. And then all these overlays are very specific, are just covering over that white light with a fiction, total fiction. And then before you know it, it's like you've got, wow, if you kept drawing with colors and overlays, you would have stacks of overlays literally projecting these shadows on there. You have all the sizes, shapes, coordinates, colors that make up the cosmos. Now, we talked about unlearning. That would be simply removing all the overlays, all those overlays, and getting back to that abstract light. That's what the real world is, in the sense that the body's eyes continue to report differences. That's what they were made for. So it's like a camera is, you know, captures this this image, a video camera, and then it puts it onto some kind of memory stick or onto a digital videotape or something like this. It's very much how the body's eyes and the brain are reflecting all that. It's really image making. It's not seeing at all. It has nothing to do with sight. And the real world is not the end. I mean, you might say that the real world is perceptual. It's just the same world that was there before, but seen without any judgment. So it does look different. It looks more like a tapestry. Just like if you were looking at a quilt, and you step back, and you were really stepping back and beholding this tapestry, this beautiful quilt, you see the whole quilt. You're really not focusing in on any kind of sizes or shapes or colors or textures or anything. You know, all that is gone. So it's not, none of that grabs your attention anymore. Perception is the result of perception, selection. It's very selective. So when you select the miracle which is the state of non-judgment. It's just you're saying, I'm not going to give any weight or any priority to any of the images. You know, suddenly things like male, female, and tall and short, and beautiful and ugly, and you know, all the gradations, which are all the overlays, they don't mean anything. You know, you're just beholding a unified tapestry. And it still seems to be a world, you know, it's still perceptual. So the real world is perceptual, it's just the old world re-perceived or reinterpreted. You know, it's just a new interpretation. It's like the Holy Spirit saying, here, I've got an interpretation, try this one. No judgment. All things work together for good. There are no exceptions.